Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. My name is Honorine, and today I'm with Erika Fundelius, who is pursuing a PhD in curriculum and instruction. Erika, thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a little introduction.
So my name is Erika Fundelius. I am a fourth-year doctoral candidate, hopefully defending in January. We'll see. In the final phases of writing my chapter 4s and 5s of the dissertation. I am a teacher of the visually impaired and an orientation mobility specialist, which means that I work with blind individuals from birth till death, which is a very exciting age range because I can work with a newborn baby and I can also work with aging population who needs to regain their independence, who need white cane training or other additional independent living skills that if they are losing their vision, then I can support them. So in pursuing my PhD, what I'm hoping to do is work in teacher preparation. I had a pretty good teacher preparation to become a teacher of the visually impaired. And however, I saw some need areas which I'm hoping to challenge and maybe update our practices in teacher preparation.
And what are those areas, for instance?
So there have been a lot of changes in the last 20 years in the field, especially if you think about it. We just went through a pandemic when everybody had to know technology. So technology changes month to month, year to year, and so does the instructional and accessibility of materials for students and adults and people in general who have disabilities. And so one of the challenges of teacher preparation programs is what type and how much assistive technology, for example, we teach to our teacher candidates, since everything's changing year to year. So keeping our skills up and updating our teacher preparation programs are essential to ensure that the people that we put into the field, right, let that be second career teachers or brand new teachers, which is what we have here at FSU. We have a BS-MS program, so we get teacher candidates who are very young versus my own program, which was second career adults who have been in education or have found this field by accident often. That we need to make sure that whoever we put in the field has updated skills.
That's very interesting. And so you said, people who kind of fell into it, it seems to be something that is common. How so?
For example, I had no idea about the blindness field until I took an accidental class I needed to complete my special education minor in my bachelor's program. And there was one class that was available and fit my schedule. And it was Introduction to Visual Impairments. I was very fortunate to be instructed by a person who works for the Lighthouse of San Francisco. And his expectation was that we volunteered 45 hours in one semester within the community. Yes, it's a lot of hours. And so I worked full-time, I went to school full-time, and the only time I could volunteer was my Sundays. And so I spent a lot of time on trips, going to a outlet mall and doing shopping with people who are blind and visually impaired and have additional disabilities, doing wine tasting, so traveling on bus and going out and supporting their recreational, endeavors, because, they just want to have a life as well, but they sometimes need these extra supports. And I just fell in love with it. So it is one of those areas where I continue to volunteer because it's just near and dear to my heart. So once I finished my bachelor's, I immediately applied for a master's program with an emphasis on visual impairments. A lot of times people already have worked in the schools as, let's say, paraprofessionals, or they were special education or general education teachers who had a blind student, and then they became interested in like, oh, how does this teacher do it? And then a lot of times people come back to school who have a child who was born with a disability. A lot of special education teachers come because they have a personal experience.
Okay. So how come in your graduate impact profile, you said that you were a very non-traditional student? In what ways are you?
So I was a non-traditional student for two reasons. One, I'm an immigrant. I immigrated here when I was 25. And so I didn't go back to school until I was 31, 32, something like that. And also because I worked in special education, but not directly with visually impaired students until my very last year. So most of the people that I went to school with were already working as teachers of the visually impaired. I worked in special education, but not as a teacher of the visually impaired.
I see. And where did you immigrate from, and why? At 25 years old.
A loaded question. So I am Hungarian. That's middle of smack Eastern Europe. With 9.2 million, I think is the current count of a population of 9.2 million. And I needed a job for 6 months. And I decided I had an opportunity to come to Los Angeles to be a nanny for 6 months. Ooh. And that turned into, at this point, 25 years.
25 years?
So I just ended up staying.
And why did you want to start school, like start all over?
I always wanted to go back to school, but as an immigrant, when you're working full time, it is a little trickier to get back into school. You know, I have no family here, as many of the international students, they know what it feels like, right? Or even those who immigrate here permanently. When you have no family supports, it is just not that easy when you rely on your own money-making skills to be able to return. So I was very fortunate to be able to apply for loans, which now at this point maxed out all my loans. So I will be paying for many, many years to come. But I just wanted to go back to school. My family valued education. I had a college degree from home that I couldn't use here, so I had to go back to start all over from community college and make my way back up. I was about to start law school when I decided to come here. And so that was just a trajectory that I had, but obviously it wasn't law school. It was meant to be education.
Yeah, no, I think it's very important what you just said, because a lot of people don't realize, you know, what it means to be an immigrant and an international student, and how you have to rely on yourself because you're alone. Yeah, you do build community with other people, but it's different.
Well, and to be honest, so I landed in California, in Los Angeles, and that's where I was for 15 years before I moved to Northern California for almost 6. It's just a different way of life. You know, you have to find your way on, okay, so I just landed here. I need to take the TOEFL test to be able to test into a community college, even though I already had a college degree. And then, you know, you have to kind of figure it out all as an adult. One, I was an adult. 2, I relied all on myself. And then figuring out how this educational system is so different from where I come from, right? Yeah. And so to navigate that, I think there is a phrase of first generation, but I don't even know if that really fits on me, because I do have family who have graduated, university, but in a different country. It's just, it can be overwhelming.
Mhm.
And then I remember I went to, because they tell you in community college, you have to see the counselors, because the counselors will help you navigate, or, registering for classes, and you have to figure out, what you need to take to make sure that you transfer out and all that stuff. And I went to see the counselor. It was the worst experience ever.
Mm.
And so I said, okay, this is not going to help me. I just really need to do this on my own, because if I listen to the counselor, I'm going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And so I didn't listen to her. I was attending a community college system that had 7 colleges all around Los Angeles. So colleges that were like 2-hour drive from me were also available to me. And at that time, some of them were non-traditional, not what we consider online instruction now, but online or distance education. And I took advantage of that. So I was able to transfer out in 2 years with 70 units. But if I listened to the person and I stuck to that just one college campus, I would have not, because most of the classes got full very quickly.
Yeah.
And so then again, I tried one more counseling appointment, because they tell you need to talk to these smart people to make sure that you do what you're supposed to be doing. And that was during when I transferred over to the university to complete my bachelor's, and that went horrendous as well. That didn't help at all either. So you just need to read, you need to Google, and you need to read everything that's on the university's website and follow the booklets to make sure that you actually can get through school.
And what is the I guess the life skill, the main life skill that you've learned through this whole process of being an international student?
That is a very deep question. I think what helped me is my experiences in life, being that I moved here when I was 25. I already had matured to a certain degree, right? And then going back to school like almost 5 years later, or around 5 years later, I think I just knew that the information is out there. You just need to look for it. I think it's really harsh to say that you shouldn't trust anyone. I believe that you should trust but verify. And so look for the information, ask the questions, but then make sure that what you were given is correct.
How do you see yourself in 5 years from today?
Oh, I hope I'm in a job that is a retirement job for me, since I'm nearing 50. Going through applying for positions as a brand new graduate is nerve-wracking, and it's very, very stressful. But I really hope that we can be in a state and in an area where both my husband and I are happy, and that it is a position where I can dedicate myself to the betterment of the field that I'm in by preparing teachers that are really understanding that they need to consistently do professional development and be up to date, and be willing to grow. So I'm hoping that will happen.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure to know more about you and your research and your background. That is very interesting.
Thank you so much, Honorine. It's been a pleasure.